Smooth 98.1. It is 30 minutes gone past 7 o'clock, and here we are, freshly pressed, coming to you on a Tuesday morning. I'm Sope Martins here on Smooth Breakfast from 6 to 10 every single weekday. And for the next half hour, I've got my Tuesday analyst in with me to talk about what's happening and affecting us as Nigerians and the country of Nigeria. So I have got Uade Ahimie with me. Good morning, Uade.
Good morning, Shopper. Good morning, ladies. Good morning, Kelechukwu. Great to be having you on the show too.
Yes, Kelechukwu, good morning. How are you? Good morning, Kelechukwu. You're muted, so you can pop yourself on if you like. And we've got you too, so we're already streaming live up on youtube.com/smooth981 FM Lagos. You can go over there, watch the live stream, and leave your comments as well. You can also join the conversation via WhatsApp on 0809 440 981, or take it to Twitter and use the hashtag freshlypressed981 and tag us at smooth981FM. Kelechukwu, good morning.
Good morning, Chopper. Good morning, Lagos. And good morning, Wadi.
Good morning, Kelechukwu, once again.
Great to have you on the show. All right, so getting straight into the stories, we're going to start off with the rising food costs and what exactly the president has said about this from the Daily Trust. We're making efforts to tackle rising food costs. President Muhammadu Buhari says that efforts are being made to figure out something about how our food prices just keep shooting sky high and even past the sky at this point. Now, the president said this in Abuja while declaring open the third ministerial performance review retreat organized to evaluate the level of progress made in the implementation of the 9-priority agenda of his administration. Kelechukwu, I'd like to come over to you to just weigh in on this.
I read the whole story and I was looking for what exactly the policy is or what efforts they are putting in, and I did not find it in the story. Back in June, the minister, after an FEC meeting, the Minister of Finance, Ahmed, said they are going to call the National Food Security Council to a session and they were going to come up with some policies. I've not exactly seen what those policies are. I'm not saying that there are no policies. I've just not seen it. Yeah. So I just not seen it. I don't know if they are going to it's going to be the.
Seems to have gone wrong with your audio. I just had to take you off for a second to see if we can sort it out. Does not seem to be sorted out. Wadi, I'm going to come to you for this as well to get your way in on this.
On the food prices?
Mm-hmm. Because as we've seen, it's something that's been going on, that we've seen food prices shoot up way past, and it's been affecting taking away food inflation from core inflation.
Which is my audio better?
During Business Express, and you see that food inflation has more weight with the way the prices have been going up, and also with the flooding that we've seen. How exactly are we going to have food prices coming down when we're seeing vast swathes of land being submerged underwater and crop yields being ruined?
I
wonder how that. Sorry, Uade, I'm just wondering.
I'm wondering myself because I'm actually lost. The flooding is going to. This is harvest period. We felt that there might be bountiful harvest for Nigeria this year, but as we can see, food prices are continually shooting up. The metrics went up by about 3.something%. When you compare it to last year, and about I think it was about 1.3 when you compare it to August. And it's amazing that when the president comes out and says, "Oh, we're doing everything to tackle food prices," we don't see anything. You heard what Kelechi said in June. They said we're going to call a meeting. I don't know what the outcome of that meeting is, but whatever happened in that meeting, nothing has changed. Food prices are continually soaring. Prices of and generally the economy is just not going in the right direction. And when you consider that food is a major part of what people spend their money on, between 60 to 70%.
Food, transport, accommodation.
Well, about 90-95% of the income of Nigerians go on that, and then you find out that food goes for about 50-60% of the income, and prices are continually going up. We've seen prices rise over the last 7 years, and it's just we haven't seen anything. Listening to Business Express this morning, it just seems gloomy for 2023. with the flooding, will the harvest come out enough for us to get enough food? Um, with the war in Russia, Ukraine, are we going to be able to import wheat for us to meet the demands of bread? Bread is continually going up. If the prices are not increasing, the slices are getting thinner and thinner, and it's just I don't see how we will be able to tackle this, because if in June you promise to put in place things that will help us tackle it, and we still haven't seen them. So it's amazing that the president is um, continually saying that, oh, we're tackling food inflation, and the prices are just rising. So let's see how it goes.
Look, it was part of this eight areas of priority, right, which was partly enlarging agricultural output for food security. But however, we've seen that food security cannot stand on its own. It's not in a vacuum. We actually have to weigh in actual security, security of lives, so that you can secure livelihoods and secure output. There's that. Then there's also environmental security becoming such a big talking point, even though we have, it's a little bit like finding out you have stage 4 cancer. It's been building up, but now at this point it's just everywhere.
It's everywhere because we haven't seen anything that has been put in place to tackle those things. When we consider the fact that one of the main priorities of this administration was focus on agriculture, and food prices have just continually gone up. They've tripled over the last 7 years. Income hasn't gone up. Security of lives and property has gone from when I say from, I don't want to say from bad to worse, but I guess that's where it is. And if farmers are not able to plant their crops, they're not able to harvest them because of the level of insecurity in the country, then we're in for gloomy times in 2023.
Well, we've had quite a few Cassandras beating that gong of food security, or food insecurity, and that sooner or later we're gonna have to pay for it. Well, it's looking like payday is coming a little quicker than
we expect.
Yeah. All right. Toya from Agodo thinks that all of this really, actually, the media has a large part to play in it. He says the media have to take some level of blame in the issues facing this country. How many times will we hear we are making slash taking steps slash efforts slash actions, etc., 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 from government officials, and years later nothing happens? Every media official should literally walk out of the room when these statements are being made. In my humble opinion, Tonya says, let them talk to themselves, because it's effectively the same thing. All right, Tonya, I can see where you're coming from. I don't know if I can meet you there, but I can see it. Tayo from Aja says, I thought the president said that his administration had met the expectations of Nigerians, and economic indices is saying another thing. Which one do we now believe? Having witnessed all these rice pyramid schemes. Okay, we move on now. So let's talk about, apart from food inflation, we've got inflation, and it's looking high. So from this day now, higher food and commodity prices push inflation further to 20.77%. So we've seen the consumer price index, which measures the rate of change in prices of goods, rose to 20.77% for September last month. Uade, your thoughts?
Though the National Bureau of Statistics says that there was a slight drop in the rate of inflation, this is the second consecutive month of hitting over 20% of inflation across the country. And when you look at the details, a large chunk of that comes from food inflation. Um, like we were saying earlier, with the flooding, which the government has not reacted efficiently to, we expect that the predictions are we could get over 21% of inflation by October, or a higher end of inflation when you read the story. And these are things. And so when you hear the president says we're continually putting in place things to help manage food inflation, if you don't manage food inflation generally, petrol prices have gone up, so transportation has gone up, and once that happens, you know that food prices are going to go up. And we don't see these prices coming down. We don't see the cost of transportation coming down. We see it when you look at all the indices. We see it still going higher, because everybody is clamoring for the fact that we're going to spend 6 to 7 trillion in in subsidies in 2023. So if we don't have money and we have to borrow money and we're going to have to pay debts and all these things all accumulate together, then you can expect that the average Nigerian, his take home is really not going to take him home.
Huh. Wow, Uade, well said. Kelechukwu, so I'd love to get your take on the inflation figures that we've seen coming out from the National Bureau of Statistics. Kelechukwu? All right, well, moving on. So let's take a look at our next story now. This one comes in from the Punch newspaper, and it's on extortion. Is this good news, people? Are we looking at some good news? What say you? I'd love to get your take on WhatsApp on 0809 444 981. You can also go over to Twitter, tag us at Smooth981FM and use the hashtag FreshlyPress981. And of course, leave your comments up on the YouTube live stream. Okay, so this is the news. The Comptroller General of the Nigeria Immigration Service, Issa Idris, on Monday ordered the investigation of a case of extortion allegedly perpetrated by officers of the NIS at the Murtala Mohammed Airport in Lagos. So this followed a recent outcry on Twitter by a Dubai-bound Nigerian who alleged massive extortion of under 40 Nigerians traveling to the Gulf city. Wade, take us through this story.
So it's really interesting. But first and foremost, let me say this: when government agencies react in the right manner, I would always commend them. I would commend the Controller General for actually saying, okay, take these guys out, let's investigate that. Whether the investigation will yield anything at the end of the day is something I can't speak about. However, this has been going on forever at Nigerian airports. I guess with social media now, it's easier to call out a number of things. But that he actually reacted and put in place some mechanisms to check if these allegations are true, gives me, well, a tiny bit of ray, of light somewhere. I don't know where that is, but I can just say, and this is not the first government agency that is reacting in this manner. Remember that FAN also reacted and apologized to Nigerians when they had an issue at the airport. But by and large, what we've seen or what we continually see or what we have always been noticed at the airports is the immigration officers have become lord and masters and believe that they should take the laws into their hand. What exactly are they asking people to, they separate people because of their ages? That's discrimination against Nigerians. And at the end of the day, let's see what the investigation would bring forth. If they are found culpable, are they going to be dismissed from the service and so on? But this is something that I would commend the Controller General for his action, although it took him about 3 weeks, but at least he's acted. He's not come out to just typical of government agencies and just deny, it's not true, XYZ. That he's actually putting in place some mechanisms to investigate it.
But also considering the fact that, as you've mentioned, this is the most unsecret secrets ever, a very wide known facet of traveling and going through the airports. Perhaps this is only just treating the symptom and not the general malaise. Now, how do we do that?
Which is true.
Because you can't take away one shift. Another shift is going to come.
The beauty of it is that if you get into the airports in Nigeria, it's clearly written there, pay no bribes, ask this, ask that. So I guess more and more Nigerians should start actually calling out this kind of actions so that more actions can be taken by the immigration services. I believe that for me would call out these things and let's see what their reactions are. But for me, this is a good reaction to the fact that someone called out and someone heard.
Okay. Sometimes it feels like life in Nigeria is like an Alanis Morissette song. Isn't it ironic? Where you'll be seeing the signs and then seeing what's there against going on right and underneath them. But yes, Wade, you are right. So we do have a chance for change by demanding change. So there you go. All right, moving on now. Let's talk about Nigerians in South Africa because recent killings of Nigerians in South Africa callous, according to the federal government. We got a statement issued yesterday from the Consulate General of Nigeria in South Africa, which saying that the killings which have happened in the last 3 weeks were unnecessary. The consulate saying that they received with great concern reports of recent violent killings of Nigerians in Durban and in Durban, KwaZulu Natal province.
Um, so this is not the first time this is happening.
No.
We've seen it happen before. We've seen retaliations in Nigeria on South African
Companies.
companies and investments in Nigeria. I I really do think that the South African government should continually look into ways to protect their foreign citizens. It's not just Nigerians. Across South Africa, there's a lot of backlash on foreign citizens or people from other countries who come to try and make a living in South Africa legally. So I'm glad that the consulates, has waded into this, have tried to reassure Nigerians, and if they have complaints, they should bring it to them so that they can take it to higher authorities. But the actions are completely. I'm trying to find the right word for it, but it's just not the way we should go, especially when we consider the fact that we're looking at a bigger picture of economic integration in Africa. This kind of things and backlashes could happen, and we could lose billions in investments across different places. And really, that's what we should be looking at.
But this is also a case of, or I would actually like to take your opinion on this. Do you think that this is also a case wherein we need to see Nigeria kind of flexing her might a little bit more when it comes to the protection of their citizens in other countries? Because, as you've said, this issue of Nigerians in South Africa is not a new one. Being targeted in South Africa is not a new one. In some cases, we've even seen officials kind of being complicit in that as well, in a case of misdirection of their lack of progress and just turning the blame onto Nigerians within their country. So yeah, shouldn't this be something that we see more of a Nigerian presence on, as opposed to trying to put the responsibility on South Africa? Because other countries, other foreigners in other countries are always going to be an easy target. They're low hanging fruit.
Yeah, and so but when you look at it, the best you would do is bring it to the attention of the authorities of the country, and which the consular general has done.
Is that the best you can do?
Well, that's where you start the pressure from.
Okay, that's a start.
Yeah, so you start the pressure from that and ensure that the authorities of that country actually look into it. And like you said, not just wait away that, oh, maybe it's because Nigerians haven't done the right thing, or they are still citizens of Nigeria, and you should ensure that security operatives look into it, ensure that they get to the root of what the issues are, and ensure that they come back with the right feedback, so that if we do need to ensure that we call out Nigerians if they've been wrong, then we'll call them out, but not just generally just say, oh, we know Nigerians can be XYZ. But at least it's a good start that they brought it to the attention of the South African authorities, and they're pushing the South African security system to look into the killings.
All right. Let's take a quick break. Tanya, I see your message coming in directed at me. I'll be reading all of your messages on the other side of the break, so keep it tuned. This is Freshly Pressed on Smooth Breakfast.
It's Kelechukwu back.
All right, here we are back for more. And like I said, I'll take it to the messages now. Going over to WhatsApp, got this one in from Joseph, who says, Joseph from Silver Estates, who says, can you imagine the deafening silence of the government since the catastrophic floods ravaging states and communities? This is the same I don't care impunity attitude to every life-threatening issues that we're seeing. Fabian from Ekpe says, I believe there are cameras at the airports. There are signs discouraging people from giving money, etc., to officials. I wonder why we cannot be less reactive and more proactive in preventing the ongoing extortions that go on. Can we not learn from airports in other countries where things go more smoothly and we hardly see any official? Asks Fabian. Tonya from Agodo says, I believe that there are, wrong one. Tonya from Agodo says, shop. How can Nigeria effectively protect its citizens in other countries? Can it effectively protect its citizens in Nigeria? Which way? You know what? You can always demand better, and that's what I'm doing. Moving on now, we'll take this one from Lizzy, who says Nigerians need to hold the government accountable for their failure to make by making sure that we vote. Lizzy, I feel like you sent this message before, so that's all I'll read. Thank you so much. You can also continue to send your messages up on youtube.com/smooth981fm and using the hashtag freshlypress981 up on Twitter, where you can tag us at smooth981fm. All right, moving on now, we'll take a look at this next article that comes in from This Day newspaper. More trouble for Nigeria as NLNG declares force majeure on 22 MTPA plants over flood-related disruptions. Uade, over to you.
Wow, that's where I start from. We're having problems with oil theft.
Mhm.
We have a force majeure on gas. The cost of gas has tripled in the last 6 months. So, what do we expect as we go into the U-turn? We're not even meeting our production quota even on gas. If you read the story, you hear that NLNG says they've lost about $7 billion this year so far. Now, how much damage is the flood going to cause now? Because they've had to shut down the gas valves. And when you continue to look at all this, foreign exchange earnings is going to go down from gas. Foreign exchange earnings have gone down drastically from oil, and it just beats me that we heard what one of the messages was about the reaction of the government to the flooding. For a flooding has been on for 2 to 3 weeks. People didn't start to get to know about it for over a week, almost a couple of weeks, and nobody seems to say anything about it. Until organizations are beginning
to be honest, I don't want them to say anything about it, more do things about it.
When I say something about it, means that there's no action.
Yeah, okay.
There's even no reaction, and it affects everything. It affects oil, it affects food, it affects road transportation, So how do you even move things? The pipelines won't work.
We've already seen
the roads are logistics generally.
Yeah, we've
is
seen fuel scarcity
over the last,
because petrol stations are saying that they can't. There are no roads to transport.
So and when you think about it, if you read the first story where the president says, they rehabilitated 15,000 kilometers of road, they built 3,000 kilometers, and the level of investment in infrastructure is tremendous over the last 7 years, and we just can't feel it in any of the stories that we're reading today.
Well,
it
somebody
just beats me.
Posted up from their car, what felt like they were at the precipice of a waterfall, and they were on a road, and so there may have been investment in infrastructure, but if there's no investment in mitigating the effects of climate change, the roads can be washed away by the water. Water is a powerful force,
I know.
Just putting that out there.
And water will always claim what belongs to it.
My brother. Moving on now. From this, hold on, let's go to our next story now on oil theft. You can't catch a break, Wade. Sorry. I apologize on behalf of the news. From the Vanguard newspaper, oil theft, September crude oil production drops by 24.73%. We're under 1 million barrels a day. This is 937,766 barrels per day.
Let me read the statement by to start the story, by the MD of what's it called, NNPC, or the GMD of NNPC, please, all protocols observed. Can I disclose that all major oil trunk lines have been shut down due to activities of oil thieves and pipeline binders. Today, our production is around 1.223 million barrels per day. We have a proven capacity of 2.49 million barrels per day. But since COVID abated and the acts of vandals returned, we saw this gradual decline in our production to the point of 1.2 million barrels. Before the last oil quota by OPEC, Nigeria had sat on 2 million barrels of production. This government has not hit 90% of it since it came into this administration. I'm not saying this government, this administration. And it's even become worse in the last couple of years. This year, we've been averaging 1.01, 1.1 million barrels of production. And
I'll take away the one now, Adi, because we're not doing that anymore.
And we continue to hear different forms of excuses or different forms of reasoning why we're not doing that. We've seen over the last couple of weeks in the news of some of the pipelines that have been, reconnected. We saw one a couple of days ago of how, oil is being stolen brazenly in front of all Nigerians. We saw the destruction of a vessel in line with what they say that's the regular action. We burn things, and coming back from growing up, you will hear that the only thing that they do is just burn things that could be seized and used and resold and all. We just burn them. And when you burn them, what economic benefit is it to us? And we hear the security operative says, oh, they are, it's a huge challenge. It's this. How do these vessels and the people who connect the pipelines or the extra pipelines to take out this oil, how do they do it? Is it that they don't have, they're not doing their 24-hour surveillance and all? And it's just
at this point where people are starting to believe in magic and witches again.
It just beats me that we're in this way. Like I said, this year, flooding, food production going down, oil theft, gas, XYZ. And well, Sope, let me stop here. I will just grumble, and we know that nothing is really going on.
Well, hey, here's some good news for you. Take it how you will. Nigeria Air will commence operation in December, according to the president.
We've been hearing that for the last 4 years.
But now we're in October, looking at December, just not even through a telescope.
In April, they told us it was June. In June, they said nothing. Now it's October, they said December. And the next thing you hear in December, oh, don't worry, before we leave, first quarter.
Wade, are you looking to be a bad news bearer? What's going on here?
I'm just stating the facts of the things that are on ground. And that's it. So we'll hear in December that, by the first quarter, after the elections, Nigeria, and I really don't know why we're investing in Nigeria now, really.
Questions. All right, let's take a look at your messages. Ozzy says, this is a clear case of asking a government to give what it does not have. This administration is clapping and dancing to its own tune, and we, the people, are wondering who's playing the drums. We're in bad shape, Ozzy says. Whilst B from Lekki comes in with this message. The I like this. The Lilliputian effort by the government to manage floods and bring succor to the victims is quite disconcerting. It's like nobody cares until it affects them directly. Tunji says they burn them to cover their tracks in response to your musings, Wadi. And let me read this one from Zen if I can get to it before the end of the show. I'm clicking, nothing's happening. Don't know what happened. Okay, there we go. Zen says, generally, most of what we discuss daily, safety, crime, oil, bribes, immigration hassles, and more, are predictable, recurring themes for the last 30 years. Summation, we're all failing as a people and nation. The impact is being felt across the board. We don't deal with the symptoms as mentioned. Looking at the cause alone for decades is not enough. Systematic trust and even interpersonal trust, true, at our people, at our are at an all-time low. We are the only ones who can solve our problems until we all deal with the trust levels and honor them. The themes, madness, will forever reoccur. Solution, we have to organize and work to circumvent the things that we suffer, as clearly the government is not going to be providing any solutions. All right, we end on Zen's message. Zen, thank you for that message. You are speaking truth right there. We need to take responsibility and take charge as a people. All right, Wadi Ahimi, thank you very much for today.
Thank you, Shopper, for having me in the studio.
All right, remember, don't be a bad news bearer. Look for the positivity and the good.
But we did find one, the Controller General of Immigration.
Okay, there we go, there we go. You make sure you find him. He is at Uade Ahimie _ up on Twitter. And of course, we are at Smooth981. Freshly Pressed will be with you again tomorrow from 7:30 to 8 o'clock. And if you're missed out on any of this, you can always catch the replay up on youtube.com/Smooth981 FM Lagos.
Invested in your tomorrow.
Thank you.